very interesting guest. We're going to talk to him before he does a stunning set, I'm sure. Would you like to welcome, please put both your hands together for Chris Quinn. Now, Chris, let's get the business out of the way first. Chris was set to do a duet here tonight, or perform as a duo, with Arthur Ebeling from Amsterdam. Shall I give him the bad news? Or
Yeah.
Okay. He emailed Chris yesterday afternoon to say he was taken to hospital in Amsterdam on Monday morning, and it looks like he had a most unpleasant disease, the name of which eludes me, but it includes nausea, vertigo, and in his case, terribly, loss of hearing. He's been very stoic about it, and he's taking treatment, but apparently it's very, very hard to cure, and I think we should all send our very best wishes tonight to Arthur Ebeling in a very posh hospital, no doubt, in Amsterdam. So, Arthur, get well, mate.
Yeah.
Chris, you play many styles of guitar. Tonight, of course, you're doing what I believe is your favourite style. You can play the blues.
I thought you meant ABBA tribute. Okay.
No,
that's blues.
That's on Sunday. Tribute bands here on Sundays.
No, my favourite is the blues, yeah.
Let's start at the beginning. When did you first remember encountering music? On the radio, or tell me?
Well, I guess came from a very musical family. So my mum and dad played, and uncles, aunties, kind of, even the sewing machine was a singer. So enough just right. Okay, no more jokes. Yeah, well, my dad played a lot of guitar, and I guess that would have been it as a child, as a baby. I would have heard music as a kid. Yeah.
What sort of music do your family play, or your father?
He plays acoustic guitar. He's a bit like me. He plays a lot of. He's more of a kind of 50s, 60s kind of guy, and a Scottish folk singer. He's from Glasgow, so we do blues. He does blues, country, that kind of thing as well. But mainly, I'd say his forte is Scottish folk music and pop.
Apart from your family, what was the first music you heard that influenced you?
Well, I guess the music that I would hear around the house on CDs, so anything from, I used to love, as a kid, the Beatles, probably the Beatles, to be honest, and then Chuck Berry, got really into Chuck Berry as a kid, and yeah.
So when you started playing outside of the comfort of your family, what sort of music did you play solo, or do you play with other musicians? What inspired you to go as far as actually owning a good guitar and playing in public?
Well, okay, so I learned to play the guitar. My friend had a guitar. I grew up in Germany. My dad was kind of connected to the British forces. Grew up in Germany. My mother, my brother, and myself moved to the UK when I was around 14 years old. My dad stayed in Germany and opened a pub, a Scottish bar, live music kind of venue pub. And it was at that stage that I got a hold of the guitar. I went to my friend's house and borrowed his, and I learned to play the guitar maybe one day, and the next day I was on the street playing, So because I realised you could make some money on the street. So I learnt 2 or 3 songs and stood there on the street. So literally, yeah, it was the next day.
Take us forward to when you started playing in front of audiences in a more organised fashion.
Well, I guess in what respect? Say in a pub, in a kind of standard pub, or?
Well, you had an engagement of some sort.
We had. Well, I guess even on the street when I was 15, people would stop and listen, and occasionally a pub landlord would stop and say, "Would you come and play in my bar?" So, as an underage kid, I was suddenly playing in pubs and doing little sets on Thursday nights in bars, maybe around 16 years old.
Had the blues got hold of you by now, or?
Oh, the blues was the first thing I learnt was "Country Road" by John Denver. Please don't judge me. That was what a friend taught me. The second thing I learnt was the pentatonic scale, the blues, the blues. So straight away, after a couple of days, the blues was exactly what I wanted to do. I was listening to Eric Clapton, particularly at that point, particularly the Unplugged album. I'm only really an acoustic guitarist. I rarely delve into the world of electric, not for maybe 15 years have I owned an electric guitar. So I was listening to Clapton, and at the age of 15, a lot of blues, listening to a lot of jazz as well at that point. People like Django Reinhardt, early jazz, it's where my heart is when it comes to jazz. I love swing, all of the early stuff really.
So, name me some names. American bluesmen, or British bluesmen, apart from Clapton and Mayall and co. What, did you go through the whole lexicon of British players before you discovered it all came out of America?
I guess, when I was, again at that age, 15, when you discover music, we had, in Shrewsbury where I'm from, we had a shop called MVC, which of course is closed now. And they had a pretty good blues section, so I would go and listen to all the blues. And at the time, I was enjoying a lot of electric blues, listening to it. So yeah, Peter Green, even British people like Sam Webb, it's Chicken Shack. I remember I bought one of his albums, and people like that really, just the whole array. Of course, I really got into B.B. King as well. At that point, I think he's an amazing, beautiful guitarist, very simple in many ways, but his tone is exceptional, and he's a real innovator in a way. And then kind of got further back to Robert Johnson, of course. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of listened to a lot of British blues artists, but also at the same time I was listening to all the Americans, John Lee Hooker, Muddy Waters.
By listening to it, you mean buying their records, or?
Yeah, I guess I was buying the records. I've got a huge CD collection, which is in my ex-girlfriend's mum's attic at the moment, actually.
Is that good enough reason to make up again?
I wouldn't go that far, but I could definitely go and get them, for sure. I know they're safe.
So, your repertoire today, is it a mix of originals and songs that the old blues guys did, or?
Yeah, well, when I write, I'm not totally, I don't write often in a blues style. I tend to write more as a folk style, so I probably won't do too many original songs tonight, but I've got a couple of blues songs that I've written. I might throw in a couple of the more folky ones and see how they go down, but I'm going to try and stick to a set of blues and even swing, like ragtimey kind of country blues, a little bit of bluegrass as well.
Well, country blues certainly qualifies. I'm not too sure about the rest, but
okay.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
So, when you started going further afield than local pubs and playing on the street, how did that happen? And where did you go? And how widely have you toured? Give us the story.
Okay, so I did a couple of years. I went to a music college in Shrewsbury, performing arts thing. Did it for a few months, but like everything I did academically, I quickly dropped out and just went back to playing the guitar because I didn't really want to do any of the other stuff, I just wanted to play the guitar. So, but while I was there, an agent had come and auditioned all of the kids, all the students, and the next thing I knew, I was in, for my sins, I was kind of blue coating it around the country. I did that for 2 years, and which sounds a bit crazy.
You mean holiday camps?
Exactly, Butlins, Pontins, that kind of thing, which was an incredible experience actually, because I'd always have my Strat on the back of the stage, and the one place in particular, I was maybe for 6 months, had a big aircraft hangar kind of hall, and people like Ruby Turner would come play, and other great bands. They were kind of doing it slightly discreetly because, but it was a gig for them on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night, a relatively well-paid gig. So they'd come down and play different bands, the Searchers, people like that. And as often as I could, I'd get my guitar out and try and at least say, hey, I'm here, I can play. So that was fun, and kind of learned a lot about the technical side of stuff, sound and lighting and how to be in a band, that kind of thing. And then I did that for a couple of years. I ended up doing a Blues Brothers show. Actually, I was playing a part of one of the Blues Brothers with a guy called Scott Miller. And that would have been. He's now a TV warm-up guy. Last I heard, anyway. So he's doing things like the X Factor before the people go on. He warms up the crowd. So he's a bit more of a funny man in a way. He's more into the comparing than the actual.
So if you play Blues Brothers repertoire, does that mean you're a Steve Cropper fan?
Oh, I guess I am. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I love all of that material, and particularly if we're talking about the Blues Brothers, I love Ray Charles. You know, he was in it. Obviously.
And Matt Murphy.
Yeah, okay. So I did that, and then I came back to Shrewsbury for a few months to because the kind of holiday season was over, and I had the same agent rang me up and said, "Would you like to go to Barcelona and do something similar?" But I'd hooked up with my friend James Hickman, who's a guitarist from Shrewsbury. He plays with a guy called Dan Cassidy quite a lot nowadays. You might have heard James Hickman and Dan Cassidy. But I'd actually hooked up with James maybe a month or so earlier, and we did a gig in our local pub for our first gig together. And within a week or two, we were playing 7 nights a week all over the area, Shropshire, and we were doing okay. You know, suddenly at the age of 21 or something, we had some money coming in, and we were playing the music we wanted to play. And so I was sitting in my mum's house with James, and the phone rang, and it was the agent. She said, "Would you like to come to Barcelona and do another 6 months in a show, a variety show?" I looked at James and I said, no, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to do what I want to do rather than a show. So I did that, and then we started playing locally, driving around to different pubs. There were so many gigs around back then. You could play 7 nights a week before the credit crunch, before the financial crash. So bars were busy all the time, full of smoke. We were playing every night if we wanted to, and we did for about 10 years. We started out just in Shrewsbury, Shropshire, then we moved out to Herefordshire. That seemed like a big deal in Worcestershire, occasionally across to Birmingham, this area, and then it just expanded and expanded till we were playing in Ireland and Germany and all over the place. Just picking up contacts, playing in folk clubs, different venues, different gigs, and just building it, as a professional band.
I've got to ask you, did your father give you a gig in his pub?
Actually, he'd already got rid of the pub, and he was back working for the forces at that point. But we did do gigs in his wife's shop, so that's acceptable. We were kind of happy. We played outside their shop once. Yeah. Thanks, Claudia.
Talking about blues aficionados in Europe, is there any country you find more ready to accept the music than any other? Because I've got a bit of a theory.
A bit of a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm heading to France in a couple of weeks, and I'm going to be there for quite a few months. However, if you want to know, if we're talking about decent audiences, the ones that I've experienced when it comes to blues, in particular, Austria and Germany.
Really?
Yeah, but they're maybe the only places I'm really hitting. Austria, Germany, Holland too, a bit. They're into it.
You haven't played Belgium?
I did one gig once in Belgium.
In the Flemish part of Belgium, I find it's a very natural following for the blues.
Right.
Not the Walloon, but the Flemish. It's very interesting.
Okay, I think I played with Arthur Edling, who was supposed to be here tonight, in Belgium once, and that was fun. We stayed in the bar, and the beer is incredibly strong. I remember that. We played the blues, it was fun.
Let me read something. This is his solo album, which should come to the scene moving several steps up the acoustic blues ladder. Across the Great Divide really does live up to its title, seemingly merging two traditions with strong songwriting and excellent musicianship. That's a couple of good reviews. There's another 5 or 6 good reviews there. Is this your only album? Across the Great Divide?
It's my only released solo album, actually. I've played on many albums over the years. I've made a few albums with James Hickman. I've got an album with Arthur that's on sale tonight, actually. And if we sell any, I'm going to make sure he gets paid, for that.
Well, we'll make sure of that because this will go onto YouTube and he'll hear it.
Exactly.
He'll check you out.
The most recent album, I've just recorded a live album at Pizza Express in Soho with Moses Rosenberg, which is one of the Rosenberg family. Yeah. So that was only a few weeks ago we recorded, so that's in the pipeline. I made an album last year with Paula Schaefer, another Gypsy jazz guitarist. So I was playing rhythm. I play a lot of rhythm for Gypsy jazz guitarists like Paula's and Moses.
You see, the name Rosenberg seems to crop up quite a lot in your CV.
At the moment, yeah. I mean, I've been working with, I play with quite a lot of Gypsy jazz guitarists. I'd say the most with Robin Nolan. Robin Nolan, he's a great Gypsy jazz guitarist.
Lives in Holland?
He lives in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
For some reason, all the people I work with seem to be based in Holland or Amsterdam. And most of them are indirectly as well. It's just very strange that the music I like to play or try and play with, it seems to come from Holland. So.
It seems to be a competitor coming for Amsterdam. It has been that way for many years. But Paris recently, it seems so many great players there, and not just French players, people from Australia and America and all over Europe are moving to Holland. In the Jazz Festival this year, we had 4 Gypsy bands, 3 of them from Holland. No, sorry, 3 of them from Paris. So
Paris, well, the Gypsy jazz, there's the Dutch sound and then there's the Paris sound. Really, if you're talking about it in a very geeky way.
I guess Reinhardt was Belgium.
Yeah.
I would like to think the older styles are come from Holland and Belgium. For instance, we used to record a man called Nomi Rosenberg.
Yeah.
Tremendous player.
Yeah.
And he couldn't read, he couldn't write, he just played guitars and actually most of us breathe. And
that's Moses' nephew, Nomi.
Is he?
Yeah.
I'm trying to find him. His father was a reprehensible character, went to prison for manslaughter, came out and spent his time bullying Nomi. So much so that Nomi stopped playing and went to work on the roads. I mean, building roads. So if I can find anyone who knows where Nomi is now, I'd like to find him.
I think I could probably point you in the right direction.
So I mean, it ain't the blues, but gypsy jazz is a fascinating area, isn't it? I think the Rosenbergs were all of them deeply entwined with the Reinhardt family. They all seem to be related to each other. And there's so many Rosenbergs.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there's a family, the Rosenberg family, the Stockolo, who in a way is in my opinion, is the great pioneer of modern gypsy jazz alongside Barili Legren. There's Stockolo, who is the older brother of Moses. There's also Moses. There's a violinist who I haven't seen, is Wati Rosenberg, a really good violinist. There's Jimmy Rosenberg, who is a phenomenal guitarist who's been on a bit of a 10-year. It's Nomi's brother. He's been on a bit of a 10-year break recently for reasons. He had a hard time. He was a child prodigy.
There are many people that tell me that Jimmy Rosenberg is the greatest of all gypsy guitar players ever.
That's what a lot of people say. Yeah.
And I know his fiddle player at the time, Jerry Van Tongeren, and I asked him, what's wrong? Because Jimmy, by the time I met Jimmy, he was 34 years old, and he'd been to prison twice. I said, what's wrong with Jimmy? He said, everything.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm very good friends with Robin Nolan. Robin's good friends with Jimmy, and they were together very recently. And Jimmy's had a really hard time. I guess when you're a complete genius guitarist as he is, there are other things going on. I think he had, as you said, quite a troubled upbringing. His father was in jail, as you said, and he had a hard life. Like often, what is it about genius musicians and and hard lives. You know, people like Amy Winehouse or Jimmy Rosenberg or other people, Chet Baker. You know, it can go hand in hand. It's like, is it that desire? What makes them so good? Is it the fact that they're so reckless in life? I've often wondered about it. What gets you to that next level? Is it that?
Maybe it comes too easy for some people, but they don't value it.
Well, he of course, the Gypsy community in Holland and probably around across Europe, they're all Sintis. So Django Reinhardt was a Sinti.
Yeah.
The Rosenbergs were Sintis. In fact, all of the Gypsies who play Gypsy jazz are Sinti. It's a race of Gypsy.
That's right.
And they kind of grow up in camps. It's very beautiful to look at. I watch a lot of videos online, and so they grow up with music all around them from a very young age. So I don't know if it necessarily comes easy to them. It's just there, and they're surrounded by the greatest guitarists often in the world, dropping in to say hi and to listen to them and to give them, you know, Paco de Lucio would have dropped in to see Moses when he was a kid. I read that online that Paco, you know, he played with him when he was a 12-year-old, and Jimmy too. People, you know, when your older brother is Stockolo, you're going to be introduced to great musicians. So I think that's maybe that helped up their game, because you're kind of as good as the person you're playing with, or at least you learn from the person you're playing with. And if you're playing with people up there, you're going to be brought up. And if that's happening when you're 8 or 10.
Well, when Noah was 15, he shared the stage on Carnegie Hall with George Benson and Les Paul. He was 15.
Yeah.
Takes something to.
I think he was playing in the gym with Jimmy Rosenberg at the time.
Was he?
No, yeah, it was Jimmy and Nomi. Yeah, they were brothers.
So how's Jimmy playing that? Is he playing decently?
It's a good question, actually. He's just, as I said, he was off the scene for 10 years with difficulties, health, that kind of thing. But he's recently been making appearances on online videos and things, and he's making an album next week with a guy called Dennis Chang from Canada, who's going over to record a brand new album. So I feel like I'm doing a promo here for these guys, and I'm not. I'm just a big fan.
And so is Jimmy playing nicely now?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. He's playing really, really great. There's talk of him coming to the UK next year to do some gigs. Yeah, we're trying to set that up.
But let's go back to the blues, shall we? Your favourite blues players. Talk to me about some of your favourite players. Do you listen to these Piedmont players?
Sorry?
Piedmont guitar pickers?
Say that again.
Piedmont, Piedmont.
Not really, not so much. I mean, I got into, I guess, acoustic players. You know, I really got into the Clapton thing. I kind of learned his way. I kind of studied his way of playing, which a lot of people in a blues club be like, well, that's a bit safe. But it just happens to be what I like. Again, B.B. King, I've kind of studied his stuff, and lots of people really. You know, I saw Catfish Keith not long ago. He's a great player. Clive Carroll, I was playing with him a couple of nights ago. He's a brilliant blues player in his own right. He plays many other styles as well, but there's just so many good acoustic players. Even Doc Watson, he's a bluegrass player ultimately, but he can play the blues. You know?
You've not mentioned the Chicago players like Muddy and Sumlin and Buddy Guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do listen to those guys from time to time.
And Wolf.
Yeah, I have over the years. Yeah.
I detect a certain lack of total enthusiasm there.
No, I do love it all. I mean, you'll see. As I say, I'm a real acoustic player, so they are more in the electric scene, you know. So.
Well, how about Gary Davis?
Gary, yeah.
Suki.
Sure.
Yeah. Great. So, did you say you recorded again? Not yet released. That's the Dean Street recording, yeah?
Soho, yeah.
Yeah.
That was with Moses only a month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
That's ready to go, is it? Ready to release?
No, it'll be next year, next May, June, July kind of time.
Right.
It's all a bit, yeah. The recording's been made. We did a tour. We recorded a couple of the gigs. And, yeah. What else has been going on? I've got this album I made with Arthur Ebling and Tom Hill as well on double bass. Is that Tom Hill?
We know very well, yeah. So tell us about Arthur. When he's not here, tell us a bit about it. He seems to be like a slightly larger than life character.
He is, yeah. He's a brilliant guitar player. Plays a Gretsch, an old Chet Atkins model of Gretsch, and he was given it by Gretsch, and then he did the roadshow, the Gretsch roadshow. So he's very, very good at playing the Gretsch kind of style, and he's got that sound. I feel terrible talking about him because he's not here. People are turning up expecting him to be here. He's ill, basically, really ill. So hopefully next year, we'll bring him along.
Well, as soon as he's ready,
sure.
You just give us a phone call.
But yeah, so he's a real blues guy. They call him the Dutch Ray Charles, which is kind of a moniker that I think suits him, although he's not blind. Yeah, he's got real soul. I don't know where he got it from, but it's really nice to hear, and he can play the blues. And yeah, I must have done 50 or 60 gigs with him over the years across the UK and also in Holland. So it's good fun.
Well, we look forward to that next time, but mostly we look forward to tonight. So Chris Quinn, thank you very much for your time and for your life story, and I'm sure we will enjoy your music. So let's say thank you to Chris Quinn from Henry's Blues House in Birmingham.